You think you can disgrace me like this? After everything, I will not allow it.
What is the meaning of this madness?
Tina thought she knew what love was, until the day she walked into a church and saw the man she gave her heart to, standing at the altar with someone else. Tina had spent 3 years believing in him, trusting him with her heart, waiting patiently for the life they were supposed to build together. She loved him quietly, completely, without hesitation, and she believed every word he ever said to her. She thought she knew him. She thought she understood the man behind the smiles and soft reassurances. But that illusion shattered the moment she saw him at the altar, not with her, but with someone else smiling, promising forever to a woman Tina didn't know. A woman who didn't know the truth about the life he had built in the shadows. In that instant, everything Tina believed about love, loyalty, and trust exploded, and she realized that the person she had given everything to had been living a lie right under her nose. Tina did not fall in love with Tolu all at once. Love did not hit her like lightning or sweep her off her feet in a single moment. It crept into her life quietly, disguised as comfort, familiarity, and the kind of presence that felt safe enough to lean on. By the time she realized she loved him, it already felt irreversible, like a truth her body had known long before her mind caught up. They met on an ordinary evening. A friend had finally convinced her to go out after weeks of persuasion, and Tina almost did not go. She was tired, worn down by work and the constant pressure of adulthood, but something pushed her to say yes. Tolu was there, leaning casually against a wall, laughing with ease. He was not the loudest person in the room, but his presence was steady and confident. When their eyes met, he smiled slowly, like he had time, like he was not in a hurry to impress anyone. Their first conversation was simple. It was about their music taste and work, small complaints about life in the city. Yet there was an ease between them that surprised her. He listened when she spoke. He asked questions that showed he cared about the answers. And when she laughed, he looked at her as if he had discovered something rare. After that night, he did not rush her. He called the next day, not immediately, not too late, just enough to feel intentional. Their dates were unremarkable in the best way. From tasting roadside food together, to long walks, to sitting in silence without discomfort. He learned how she took her tea. She knew how he hated traffic, but loved driving anyway. They shared stories of childhood, of disappointments, of dreams they were still afraid to say out loud. Tina loved the way Tolu made her feel seen. He made her feel chosen. As months passed, routines formed, with good morning messages and late-night calls that lasted until one of them fell asleep. He showed up when she was sick, brought her soup, and teased her about being stubborn. When she had a bad day at work, he listened patiently, never interrupting, never minimizing her feelings. He encouraged her goals, celebrated her small wins like they were his own. There were cracks in the relationship, but Tina explained them away. Tolu traveled often. He said his job demanded flexibility. Sometimes their plans were canceled at the last minute. Sometimes their weekend plans disappeared into family obligations. He rarely stayed too long. He was affectionate, but guarded. When Tina asked about his family, he spoke vaguely. They are very traditional people, he said, with complicated expectations. She accepted it. She loved him because she did not want to be the woman who pushed too hard and ruined something good. Over time, Tina's world quietly adjusted itself around Tolu's availability. She learned not to ask too many questions. She learned to be patient. She learned to wait. Sometimes thoughts would creep in the middle of the night, but Tina would tell herself, "Nothing like that. If he was doing something bad, I would know," she convinced herself. They never spent holidays together. He always had reasons, like private family gatherings, work travel, or family emergencies. Tina spent those days convincing herself that love did not need dates on a calendar to be real. She told herself that commitment was deeper than appearances. Sometimes, late at night, doubt would creep in, by a call unanswered, or a message delayed, a feeling that she was standing just outside a door she was never invited to open. When she raised her concerns, Tolu reassured her effortlessly that they were perfect for each other. He spoke softly and confidently, telling her she was overthinking, that she mattered, that he was building towards something serious with her. "Babe, stop overthinking things, I'm all yours, okay?" he would always say. And Tina believed him. She believed him because she loved him, and she always imagined herself with him. Tina would always go to work, sometimes come back tired wanting to speak with Tolu, but his phone would not be reachable. One cold evening, Tolu went to see her at her place. He kept his phone on her table and went to shower. A notification popped up on his phone, and she randomly looked at it. It read, "I love you too." And she looked at the name, but it was saved as Mom. "I thought his parents are traditionalist," she asked herself. When he came out of the bathroom, she asked him about the message, and he said it's his mom. "Obviously, it's saved as your mom, but I thought you said your parents were very traditional people?" she asked, looking directly into his eyes. "Yes, they are." He replied, "Maybe she just felt like replying that way since she misses me." He lied. Tina believed him because he didn't show any sign of suspicion, and she always believed whatever he fed her because she genuinely loved him. And in her mind, Tolu would never lie to me, she convinced herself again. They went back to being happy, and Tina ignored whatever message that entered his phone because she trusted him almost more than she trusted herself. Little did Tina know that the most shocking thing was about to happen. The worst betrayal she would ever have, not from anybody, but from the one person she trusted with everything she ever had. The betrayal did not arrive dramatically. It did not come with shouting or confrontation. It didn't even come with suspense. It came quietly, in the form of an invitation forwarded without thought or by concern. Tina didn't go to work on that sunny day. She took a break from work. As she sat on her bed pressing her phone as usual, just resting when a message dropped on her phone from someone unusual, someone she hadn't spoken to in years, someone she hadn't even seen or heard from in years. She was nonchalant about opening the message because why would she just send a message out of the blues? Tina said to herself. She was debating opening the message or not, and her mind told her to just open it, which she did, and she saw the most shocking thing ever. Something that could give someone with a weak heart a heart attack. At first, Tina did not understand what she was looking at. The words seemed unreal, like something borrowed from another life. Then she saw his full name, bold and undeniable. Tolu Adeyemi, Wedsmore Nike. Her chest tightened. Her heart pounded violently as her mind raced through denial, confusion, and hope that it was some cruel coincidence. But it wasn't. When she called Tolu, his line was unreachable, more like he blocked her. She kept calling but no response, no message, nothing. Tears immediately formed in her eyes. But this was not the time to cry, she said to herself, while her hands shook, still trying to call him. She looked at the phone, trying to dial his number again, and slowly, it became blurry. She quickly wiped her tears and tried again and again. But it was still the same result. She looked at the invitation message again and saw the address for the wedding. It was the same city as hers. So, she stood up immediately and put on her clothes. She grabbed a few things into her bag, and she left her house. She entered a taxi straight to the location, which was a church. Her knees trembled, her chest still tight as she held it, and her eyes became teary. "It's really a wedding," she whispered. Heartbroken, she stood there for a few minutes while soft music played inside like the bride just entered. Tina walked slowly, while wiping her tears as she climbed the church stairs. She slowly walked down the aisle, and there he was, the man who deceived her all these while. He made her believe all the lies he fed her. She looked directly at him, while walking slowly, as Tolu turned and saw her. With shock in his eyes, how did she know? He whispered to himself while holding his bride. "Tolu Adeyemi," she called out in a loud tone. Everyone turned towards her direction, including the priest and the bride. "What is happening here, Tolu? Why are you the one getting married?" she asked calmly but audibly as she moved closer. "Who is she, babe?" the bride asked, confused. Tolu closed his eyes, because he knew he had been caught, and there was no way to escape. "Answer me, Tolu, what is happening here?" Tina shouted with anger. Everybody was shocked and confused, but they didn't interrupt her or the drama before them. Tolu left the altar and came to her, trying to hold her, but she swiped her hand out of his. For the last time, Tolu, what is happening here? She asked again, but this time it wasn't loud, but you could feel the rage and anger in her voice. The truth spilled out slowly, painfully. He spoke like a man explaining logistics, betrayal. He told her the marriage had been planned long before he met her, that it was complicated, that he loved her, that nothing had to change between them. Before he could finish his sentence, she gave him a hot slap on his left cheek. The crowd gasped in shock. Murmurs followed. Tolu held his cheek. "You slapped me?" he said. And she slapped him again on his right cheek. This time he wasn't expecting it. He closed his eyes, trying to hold himself. "Tolu, after everything I've done for you." 3 years, Tolu said, showing him 3 with her fingers. "After everything we've been through, it was all a lie?" She raised her voice with tears in her eyes as the crowd watched, and kept murmuring. "Tolu, you made me believe every word you told me, every single thing." She couldn't hold her tears any longer. That was the moment something inside Tina broke cleanly in two. She realized then that she had never truly known him, that the man she loved existed only in the spaces he allowed her to see, that she had been living in the margins of someone else's carefully constructed life. The bride walked to where they were. "Babe, who is this?" She pushed his shoulders to face her. Tolu looked at her with tears, but couldn't say anything because obviously she was innocent. "Tolu, do you know that I'm pregnant for you?" The crowd shouted off. "Tolu, what?" the bride said angrily. Tolu turned to his bride. "Babe, I can explain," he said, trying to hold her hand. And she slapped him and slapped him again. "Don't come at me with your weird lies, Tolu. I trusted you," she said with a teary-eyed voice. The bride walked away crying. Tina looked at him dead in the eyes as she said, "You'll pay for what you did, for wasting 3 years of my life." Tolu's mom finally stood up and went to them. "Tolu, what's all this drama today?" his mom asked. "And this must be your mom, the traditionalist?" she said, looking at him. She stomped out of the church and went straight home. But the silence that followed was unbearable. Days passed, where she could not eat properly, where sleep came only in fragments. Their memories together haunted her. Every smile now felt like a lie she had helped to protect. She cried bitterly for months, while Tolu kept trying to reach out to her, but no way. She had blocked him on every social media and every means he would have used to reach her. Her pain turned into something sharper, something steadier. The quiet that followed that day was unlike anything Tina had ever known. It was not the peaceful kind of silence that comes with rest or relief. It was heavy, suffocating, filled with echoes of voices that would not stop replaying in her head. Every word Tolu had ever spoken to her now sounded different, distorted by truth. Every memory felt contaminated, like a beautiful painting smeared with something dark. For the first few days, Tina did not leave her room. She lay on her bed staring at the ceiling, her phone resting beside her like a lifeless object. The same phone that once held good morning messages, late-night calls, and late-night confessions now felt like a weapon that had betrayed her too. Notifications came in, calls she did not answer, messages she did not read. She knew they were from Tolu without checking. She knew because desperation always sounded the same, even through silence. Food lost its taste. Sleep came in fragments. When she did sleep, she dreamed of the church aisle, of white fabric stained with tears, of Tolu's face frozen in shock. She would wake up gasping, her heart racing, her body reacting as if the betrayal were happening all over again. Her friends came knocking. At first, she ignored them. She did not want sympathy. She did not want questions. She did not want to explain something she herself still did not understand. But eventually, loneliness became louder than pride. She opened the door one evening and let them in. They listened as she spoke. She really spoke for the first time. She told them everything. The late nights, the excuses, the waiting, the lies, the love she had poured into a man who never planned to choose her. Saying it out loud made it real in a way that hurt more than silence ever could. "You loved honestly," one of them said softly. "That's not your shame." She held Tolu's hand. But shame still clung to her. Shame for not seeing the signs. Shame for defending him. Shame for trusting someone who had been living 2 lives with ease. Tolu did not stop trying. He called using different numbers. He sent emails. He showed up once, standing outside her building like a ghost from a life she no longer recognized. Tina did not open the door. She watched from behind the curtain, her hands shaking, her heart pounding, filled with anger, betrayal, and hatred, but she stayed still. Blocking him felt like cutting off a limb she had depended on for balance. Yet with every block, every unanswered call, she felt a strange, unfamiliar strength growing inside her. Weeks passed. The wedding never happened. Or rather, the bride refused to go on with the wedding. Rumors spread. Stories twisted. Some people blamed Tolu, while some blamed Tina, and some praised her courage. She stopped listening. Public opinion could not heal private wounds. What healed her slowly, painfully, was routine. A clear routine to take her mind off everything that happened. She returned to work. At first, she moved through her days mechanically, smiling when expected, answering questions with rehearsed politeness. But work gave her something to hold on to, something that reminded her she existed outside of Tolu's lies. At night, she started writing. She got herself a journal. She wasn't writing for anyone else, just for herself. She wrote letters she would never send. She wrote about anger that scared her, about love that still ached, about the version of herself that had waited patiently for crumbs and called it devotion. She cried while writing, sometimes sobbing so hard her chest hurt. But afterward, she felt lighter, like she had poured poison out of her veins. There were days she missed him terribly. Days she would take her phone and almost call him. Days she remembered his laugh, the way he held her hand while driving, the way he used to say her name softly when he thought she was asleep. On those days, she reminded herself of the church, of the blocked calls, of the invitation that changed everything. Healing was not linear. Some days she felt powerful, proud of herself for walking away. Other days she felt foolish, small, broken. But slowly, the bad days stopped lasting as long. One morning, she woke up and realized she had slept through the night without dreaming of him, and without crying herself to sleep. That was when she knew she was changing. Tina began to do things she had postponed while loving Tolu. She took herself out. She reconnected with old friends. She laughed again, not politely, not cautiously, but freely. She started to recognize the woman she used to be before she learned how to wait for someone else's availability. Months later, she ran into Tolu unexpectedly. At a mall. He looked different, tired, frustrated. When their eyes met, something passed between them: recognition, regret, finality. "Tina," he said quietly. She nodded once and kept walking. Nothing more. She walked past him without stopping, her heart steady, her steps firm. That night, she stood in front of her mirror and looked at herself. Not the woman who had been betrayed. Not the woman who had cried herself to sleep for months. But the woman who survived, who walked away when staying would have destroyed her. She smiled. For the first time in a long time, the future did not feel like something she had to beg for. It felt like something waiting to meet her. She was finally becoming the woman she was meant to be.